Okay, so in my bathroom, I've got a timer here. So I've got this guy right here, and that controls my exhaust fan. And the exhaust fan is just up at the top here. But came back after vacation after a couple of weeks, and we often lose power in our area of the city. So lights are still working, so dimmer's still working. Lights are still working, but the timer right here is smoked. So the LED's still on, looks like everything's cool, but if I hit 10 minutes, 20, 30, 60, that's no good. So I gotta replace out this timer. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go downstairs and I'm going to hit the breakers, and my daughter's gonna scream at me when the lights go out, and then we'll be safe to work on this timer here. So give me 2 seconds. Okay, so we turned off the breaker. The lights that are on right here are just trouble lights. I'm just putting my hand in front of the trouble light to show you there that these guys are not working. Dimmer switch is obviously not working. So next thing we're going to do is take out each of these guys so we can get into the inside of the box there. Okay, so now that we've got that cover plate off, then what we're going to do is we'll just back these guys off here. So you'll notice that around each of the different devices, primarily the dimmer here, it's got this aluminum pieces on the outside. So this is to dissipate the heat that's developing on each of the switches there. So I'm just slowly backing off these screws here. And most likely we'll probably have to take out all of the devices to get to the barrettes for this timer, but we may luck out and be able to get to it just by pulling this bad boy off here. We'll see in 2 seconds. Okay, so I was able to get to the barrettes just by taking off the other dimmer there as well, and I got enough room to work. If you want, you can use a proximity sensor just to make sure that everything is dead. Proximity tester is just one of these guys that when you put it near an electrical wire and you have a magnetic field expanding and contracting, then it cuts across this guy and chirps. So you can just hear that down here at my trouble lights here. We are not hearing that over here. Okay, so we're confident there's no power here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this unit and we're going to replace it with an exact same unit. And we're just going to keep track of, as we pull these conductors out, where they're tying into. So it looks like the red conductor here is tying into this black right here. It looks like we're tying into the neutral conductor as well. And we're connecting into our main feed right here. So how do I know this is my main feed? Well, this guy right here is the red conductor. If you're reading up on the write-up of this guy, so they always come with some paperwork in there, it's saying that if you were just using this as a single pole timer, meaning that it's just controlling from one location, you're going to make use of the red conductor. So this is going from the from the timer, and then you can see you would be able to make out in the back that this black conductor goes up, and that would feed your fan above. So then the neutral would from that fan would tie into this Moret right here. So your feed would come from the timer to this black wire, go up to the fan, and then have a return back on the neutral here. Okay, the other place where it's also tied in is at the bottom here, the bonding conductor. So all the electronics and everything have to be bonded, so that is tied into my bonding connection in the bottom there as well. Okay, so you can just make a quick note of that on a piece of paper if you wish, or if you have your phone, you can take a picture of the way that it's already wired up. So now we're confident that we can take these conductors off. So I like to twist my wires, so I'm going to leave that guy right there. I'm going to take this off the neutral connection now. So I'm going to just unwrap this bad boy off of the other neutrals there. Maybe just throw the Moret's on there. And what else do we got? We got the bonding conductor on the bottom here. So we're just gonna back that guy off. Hard to see because my hand's in front of the light there. There we go. And easy now. There goes my treble light. There we go. Okay, and then the last guy we need to do is this feed here, right? So looks like I was extra cautious here, and it looks like I wrapped some black tape around that guy as well. So give me 2 seconds, I'll take that tape off and then we'll take that conductor off. Okay, so I've now removed that the black conductor. So now the timer is out of the circuit now, and we'll grab the next one, or the new one, and we'll tie it in exactly how we just took it out of the circuit. So we just got to keep in mind that like stuff like this bonding conductor for the dimmer came loose. So I'm gonna have to make sure that I bring this guy back in and tie it back in. But everything else is still solid for the rest of the circuits. So we've got our black here, our weight over here, and the feed towards the fan. Okay, and as I said, in the package for the timer, there's going to be some paperwork. So you can take a look at the paperwork corresponding to which install that you're doing. So I'm doing a timer that controls it from one location. So my hot is tying into the black. It says the yellow red is supposed to just stay loose because that's for 3 wire, so I'm not going to tie that in. The neutral ties right into the white conductor. And you can see over on the left hand side that the red is going to the load. So the load is going to be my fan. So the red and the black for my 14.2 going to the fan are going to tie together. And then it says to tie in the white into the neutral for the timer and tie the bonding conductor into my bonding connection as well. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so I'm just starting off with my bonding conductors. So remember that this bond for the dimmer had to tie in there as well. So I've grabbed the bonding from the timer and the bonding from the dimmer switch that was loose, and I've just threaded those into my bonding connection here. And this bond ties into the bonding screw. I don't know if you can just make it out of the back there. It ties into the bonding screw at the back of the box. Okay, so the bond is now made for each of those devices. Okay, next thing I'm doing is I'm tying in the neutral. So that neutral came from the timer. So I'm tying it in with all of my other neutral conductors right here. Okay, so now we're going to do the feed up to the motor. So remember that that feed was right here, was a single conductor going up to the exhaust fan. And we had said from that diagram that we have to do the red to that terminal right here. So again, I've got a stranded conductor and I've got a solid conductor. So I'm going to try and loop those guys physically around each other so that they don't come loose. So now they're pretty tight together there. And then I'm going to take the moret and I'm going to spin it. You can feel the tension on the conductors. And once it's tight, then you can physically see the conductors spinning there. And then I'm going to pull on those bad boys and make sure there's no way that they can pull out. Beauty. Okay, and then the last thing we need to do is do the feed for the actual timer. So we're tying into all of our black feeds right here. I have that conductor looping around the other conductors so that it's physically held in place. So it's basically sitting right on top of those conductors and looping around the same way as the moret would tie in. And now I'm going to take the moret and then physically just spin her around. And again, I can feel the tension slowly increasing. You don't want to tighten it way too tight, but that feels pretty good right there. And then I'm going to reef on it so that I can see that none of those conductors will come loose in the box. Beautiful. So last thing we're left with is the yellow. We know that the yellow doesn't need to be connected in, and it still has this tape on here, so there's no way it's going to come into contact with anything else in the box there. So that was for the 3-wire location, which we're not doing. So last thing we need to do is now just take our conductors and just safe them up in the box. So we're going to slowly just push them back into the box so they're nice and neat at the back there, so that when we start putting in each of our other devices, we're not going to compress the conductors and possibly have them short out. So I'm going to slowly finesse them into the back of the box there, and then start to tighten up the dimmer and then tighten up the timer beside it. Beauty, so all the devices are back in now, and the last thing is just to put the cover plate on, and we'll go back downstairs and turn the breaker on and see if everything's working. Okay, so we'll turn that breaker back on. Excellent. My daughter says the lights are on, so let's go take a look. Beauty, lights are on. And looks like the dimmer is working as well. Let's see. Oh yes, the dimmer is working very nicely. Okay, and the last thing is to try out that timer. So Meg, turn that timer on. Doesn't matter, any one of those should work. Oh, that's gorgeous. So good. The fan is working. Dude, hit it. Do all timers. Do 60. Okay. Beautiful. Awesome. So good, eh? So much better. If you have a small bathroom like this, you need to have an exhaust fan. Okay, Meg, just make sure they all work now. So hit the 15. Yeah, hit the 10. Hit the 5. And turn her off. So good. Sweet. Alright, so hopefully that helped you if you have to replace one of these guys. I replaced mine with a Leviton. I think I had a Lutron that was there earlier. This one didn't last very long. It was only in there for, this bathroom's only, I would say only 4 to 5 years old. So not sure what smoked inside that unit. Maybe I'll rip her open and take a look at it and see if I can figure out what happened to it. But oftentimes we lose power here and we have surges every once in a while, so possibly a surge, because we weren't even in the house. We were gone for like 3 weeks and came back, and nobody had used that switch whatsoever. So I'm thinking it was a surge that came in when we had a loss of power to the house. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Give us a like if you liked it and subscribe for other videos. Alright, we'll talk to you soon. What's that?
You're putting that on YouTube?
Well, yeah, might as well, right? If you're doing something electrical in the house and you got an electrical YouTube channel, you might as well put it on that channel. Alright guys, see you in the next video.